Hey everybody, Douglas Blair Roberts here, the Super Vader 400, and of course the brown skin human coming back at you with another movie series review intro. My previous movie series review intro, whenever I uploaded to YouTube, for some odd reason, the newest, the Crush 40 upload of Sonic What I'm Made Of, their uploaded version for some odd reason has a copyright on it and whenever I see, and the copyright is actually not a problem according to YouTube, but if I ever want to set this account up for monetization, it will be a problem. So I'm going to do a remade version using two non-copyrighted songs. Even though this is an intro for movie reviews and rants, the What I'm Made Of will from now on this channel will only be the outro, and I'll use one of the old school non-copyrighted uploads of Sonic What I'm Made Of. The intros will feature the Sonic Heroes theme, which I haven't used in a long time, and of course the iconic We Can that I use a lot now. Yeah. Everywhere on every other platform, the intros, I will use the old intro. So with that being said, let's get started right now. Hey everybody. It's time for the second part. It's time for my part 2 webcam portion of Space Jam as the Douglas Blair Roberts YouTube YouTube social media based personality and actor. And of course, with this style, every video is done off camera. So with that being said, let's get started right now. Space Jam 1996. Space Jam 1996, one of my all-time favorite childhood movies, and rewatching this movie this past weekend. This past weekend was the greatest experience and nostalgia trip ever. This movie is just as exciting now as it was back in 1996 and 97 when I saw this for the first time. Way better than I gave it credit for. I've always been a huge fan of Space Jam. Before rewatching it this past weekend, the last time I saw it was 2011, almost a decade ago. 2011. And see, when I saw it back then, I was nostalgic back then, but I was also a little nostalgic, and I have actually been for a long time. But because even though I enjoyed these films I grew up with, I was too busy watching the Nostalgia Critic, who made going back to the past, looking and critiquing stuff. He made that popular. So they gave me an elitist type attitude towards this film, where this film, it was awesome when I was a kid. It's still fun to watch as an adult, but it's no longer a good movie. Like a lot of people still like to walk around and pretend. No, I was totally wrong. And what Nostalgia Critic was doing, like I said, it was just like with the Wristwatcher, with the Double Dragon, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat cartoons. Anyone can take their camera and make a collage of all the dumb, terrible, or stupid moments inside a cartoon, television series, movie, and endlessly nitpick something and make it seem worser than it really is. And that's what the Nostalgia Critic did with his Space Jam. And I recently just rewatched the actual Channel Awesome upload. The Nostalgia Critic version I saw decades ago. The first one I saw was a re-upload of a fan of his channel. I just recently watched the one that was uploaded to his YouTube channel, Channel Awesome, and I heard from one of the comments that he got a bunch of hate. For that review, and I can see why, because it's way better. It's way better than what he gave it credit for. He said it wasn't funny. The Looney Tunes were loud, obnoxious, and weren't funny. No, they were funny. This is some of the most hilarious, in my opinion, the Looney Tunes have ever been. That's the other thing too. I'm a fan of the Looney Tunes, but I'm not a super fan and purist. I'm a huge fan of the Looney Tunes, but I'm not a super fan and purist. When it comes to classic cartoon characters, I was Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera, Disney, Marvel, DC superheroes, and of course, the Fleischer, the Filmation and Fleischer based studios were my top classic studios, along with a few more like Rankin Bass, who did Thundercats, Cats. Those were my top favorite classic cartoon studios. And when it comes to Looney Tunes, a lot of people prefer the classic works that made them famous. I love and appreciate the classics for paving the way, for starting and paving the way. Love the late Chuck Jones, Bob Clampett, Termite Terrence, something, and legend himself, the late Tex Avery. I love all those guys for starting and paving the way and revolutionizing and innovating these awesome Looney Tune characters that we recognize today. However, I find all of their modern works to be way better than the classic works that made them stars. That made them stars. In my opinion, the Space Jam adventure, in my opinion, if I had to choose, the Space Jam adventure is the greatest adventure the Looney Tunes have ever been involved in, and is the best product in the Looney Tunes franchise. In the Looney Tunes franchise, this is still epic. Rewatching this now, this takes me back to the 90s basketball era. The 90s, 80s, and before is my favorite basketball era, alongside the 2010s and current 2020s era. My least favorite and most hated era. My least favorite and my most hated era is the 2000s. That for me is the worst. That for me is the worst and just lame. There was some good stuff in that era, but that was the lamest time, in my opinion, to be an NBA fan. The 90s was the coolest. All this takes me back with some of these appear in the film, some of these don't. This takes me back to the 90s with awesome basketball players like Charles Barkley. I think his name is Muggsy McGee, the short guy. Sean Bradley. Who's after Sean Bradley? Yeah, Sean Bradley. I really got to talk about Sean Bradley later in this review. Sean Bradley, Patrick Ewing, and Larry Johnson, Michael Jordan. These are the five who appear in the film and have big roles, with Michael Jordan actually being the main character and lead star. But these are the five for which call. Then Steve Kerr, Shaq appear in cameos. Legendary NBA star and figure Larry Bird appears here, and of course the ones who didn't appear in the film, such as my boy Rodzilla, Dennis Rodman, and of course Karl Malone. So yeah, it takes me back to that era, the awesome 90s era. And this movie started it all for basketball. For me, and in my opinion, Michael Jordan and all the NBA stars who starred in this movie, they were better actors in this film. They wasn't as polished as, let's say, all the great Shakespearean actors, such as Bill Murray, who also appears as himself, and he also did a good job, or Wayne Knight, who appears as Stanley Polak, as actors like them. But they were great and much better than Shaquille O'Neal in movies. Much better than Shaquille O'Neal in movies. They were better in movies. The animation still holds up, and it's a great mixture of live action and 2D. And people like Chuck Jones were critical. The late Chuck Jones were critical of the film, saying it deviated from his source material. And well, he's dead now, so he doesn't have an opinion. But I respectively disagree. Disagree. He criticized it because he criticized Bugs Bunny going outside of Looney Tune world for help to resolve a conflict. Normally, yes, Bugs Bunny wouldn't do that. He criticized him because Bugs Bunny did that, but Bugs Bunny wouldn't do that. Yes, normally Bugs Bunny wouldn't do that, but the problem here was a bit more pragmatic, that would have needed someone of the caliber of Michael Jordan to save the day, to save the day. Those who say it was a corporate cash grab, no, it wasn't. Firstly, it was short. It was 88. It was 88 minutes. It wasn't that long. It wasn't that long. As a kid, I can remember this taking forever. I was surprised to see how short this was when I was an adult. As a kid, this film always took forever when we were watching this as a kid, but as an adult it's even faster. And it was quick and to the point. And most of the references in the film, because I was a kid, I didn't understand most of the references. They were just the Looney Tunes being the Looney Tunes, so I laughed back then. Now it's even more awesome when you see them now, because I understand all the references, the Looney Tunes, and then the NBA stars when they reference real life stuff. So yeah, yeah. Like I said, the film made good use of what's his name. At times, I keep forgetting. I kept forgetting, especially when they were in the real world. When they were in the real world, they did a good job of balancing the real world and the animated Looney Tunes world and mixing them together. Because when they were in the real world, and sometimes when they were in the Looney Tunes world too, I kept forgetting that I'm watching a movie. I'm not watching. What I'm seeing is not real life. What I'm seeing is not seeing real life. Michael Jordan, he did a great job, as good as a basketball player could do, pretending to act against stuff that technically isn't there. You're in some kind of you're in some kind of studio. You're in some studio with a bunch of stuff drawn and animated over you and a bunch of voice actors speaking. That's pretty much what Michael Jordan was doing. That's pretty much what he was doing. He was also playing basketball in that scene. And speaking of the basketball scenes, yeah, the action, great mixture of actual real life NBA basketball playing, NBA basketball playing, and cartoonish comic book Looney Tunes violence in action. Looney Tunes violent in action. One of the best, still the best. It probably will never be topped. One of the best mixture of live action animation movies, rivaled only by Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So yeah. Then another thing, the soundtrack. One of the best soundtracks alongside the Power Rangers movies 1 and 2, Mortal Kombat 95, and especially Annihilation, Avengers 2012, and many more films I can't think of at the moment. One of the best soundtracks of all time is this film with awesome songs like I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly. Rest in paradise, R. Kelly's life and career. He's not dead, but his life is pretty much over. His life and career is pretty much over. But that song, I Believe I Can Fly, it still gets me hyped. 7 years later, especially when I hear it here, which I associate this movie the most with that song, I Believe I Can Fly. What else about this awesome movie, man? Oh yeah, going back to more soundtrack, then the Monica song, For You I Will Cross the Ocean for You. Yeah, that song was awesome too. Song was awesome too. The awesome, iconic Fly Like an Eagle song, the iconic Space Jam hip hop sports theme, the iconic. I actually, this song, this was the first time I heard the song. So not only do I associate this movie with the song, but this is the first time I heard the song, the iconic Let's Get Ready to Rumble. Dun, 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 dun. I associate that with this. And then there was another R&B song. The late Coolio's Hit 'em High song appears here too. All of the basketball players, actors, and actors did a good job. And I loved every character. In this film, except for the Mr. Stickmaster. I don't remember his name. The main antagonist and the leader and manager and the boss of the Monstars. Yeah, I hated him and loved seeing him get his comeuppance at the very end. The Monstars, they were great. They were great, funny, hilarious, sympathetic antagonists. You saw them immediately getting bullied by the main antagonist. That at brief points you rooted for them. You wanted the Looney. In the end, I still rooted for Looney Tunes, but they managed to make them so relatable that rooted for them because they were phenomenal. They were phenomenal comic relief antagonists, especially the blue one. Especially the blue one, if I had to choose, is probably my favorite, best one. Because he was so funny with his ignorance. All of them were ignorant, but he took the cake when it came to ignorance. When it came to ignorance and dumbassery. They had a plan. Firstly, they were going to round up the Looney Tunes. But then the Looney Tunes tricked them into giving them a chance to defend themselves. So the Looney Tunes shot into a game of basketball. They didn't know what basketball was, so they got in the costume, got a trench coat, went out in public to an actual basketball game. They used their powers to turn into some liquid jelly and rob the NBA players of their talent, and became the muscular Monstar Behemoths, Monstar Behemoths, and for the first half of the game and the final part of the game, up until Jordan came back on him, to Jordan and Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray's character came back on him. They destroyed the Looney Tunes. So yeah, and Michael Jordan is the greatest thing he's ever been in. I actually like this better than his basketball and than his real basketball and baseball career. And even though, just like with the late Tupac Shakur, even though Michael Jordan was became famous for basketball and to a lesser degree baseball, as an athlete, I like him better as an actor and entertainer. This is the best and coolest thing he's ever been in, the best and greatest part of his career. I like him better as an actor. Same with Shakur. He rose to fame as a rapper. I like him better as an actor and entertainer and dancer, even though it was the rapping where he rose to fame. Yeah, favorite and best scenes in Space Jam. Favorite and best scenes. This was hard, but the final game, what the entire which I was built up to, the suit up, the hilarious and awesome suit up at the beginning, that still gives me hype. The two mice giving the announcers with the let's get ready to rumble theme, the entrance of both the Monstars and the Space Jams, and then the entire game itself. Like I said, awesome NBA style basketball mixed with cartoonish comic book Looney Tunes violence and action, and action and comedy, then comedy and drama, and then what else? Oh yeah, then of course the end where the 3-part ending where Michael Jordan, or the 3 and 4-part ending, the 4th one where the Monstars stand up to and send their boss on a rocket back to the moon or Moron Mountain, wherever. Then as part of the deal, they give the NBA players their talent. They give the NBA players their talent back. The NBA talents their back by putting their hands on the ball, turning themselves back into their regular forms. But they don't want to go back to Moron Mountain. Instead, they want to stay on Earth with the Looney Tunes, and do a mock rendition of the ending Looney Tunes title cards from the 50s and 60s. Then what else, man? Oh yeah, the Monstars. Oh yeah, and then the next part, Michael Jordan getting back just in time for his baseball game with arriving via Looney Tunes spacecraft and emerging from it with R. Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly. All still an awesome moment. Yeah. Then the third part where Bradley, Barkley, Ewing, Muggsy, and Larry Johnson all get their talents back by putting their hands on the ball. All get their talent and powers back, and question Michael Jordan since he quit basketball and has played baseball that he doesn't have anymore. And then Wayne Knight
Michael Jordan's assistant in the film says, "You hear that, Jordan? He don't think you have it anymore." And Jordan says, "Only one way to prove him wrong." And then he return. Then he has that awesome close where the announcer, it felt just like real life. "Ladies and gentlemen, please, as a part of the Chicago Bulls, welcome back, Michael Jordan." And then the film ends with Michael Jordan playing basketball and making a dunking shot to R. Kelly's "I Believe You Can Fly," one of the greatest and most heroic endings of all time. That's the last I remember of Michael. That's the last I remember of Michael Jordan. Haven't seen him much since that awesome ending. That's what I last remember Michael Jordan doing, man. See, an iconic, heroic ending. That ending almost makes me. I was planning on even before seeing Space Jam, but I even more so now want to return to and debut in various combat and vehicle sports, have a comeback and a debut just like Jordan did right there. Yeah. What else? And then you got the iconic intro. It shows Jordan as a boy. Then fast forwards to him as an adult, as an adult. And then the various NBA player scenes, the NBA players who got their talent stolen: Bradley, Ewing, Barkley, Johnson, and McGee, who all got their talents stolen. They go through an arc of their own, trying to figure out what's wrong with them and trying to find ways to recover their talent. With Barkley sort of receiving the most screen, with him receiving the most screen time. But yeah, so like I said, man, followed by everything. It was never a dull moment. One of the most exciting films of all time. One of the greatest kids films ever, and still one of the greatest kids films ever. And still the greatest live action animation film of all time. Will never be topped in my opinion. The greatest thing the Looney Tunes were in. Now for a brief tribute to Sean Bradley. Sean Bradley. The only thing I didn't like about rewatching Space Jam recently was Sean Bradley in 2021. This has been for like basically a year. In 2021, it was 2021 at the young age of 48 years old. A giant truck struck him from behind while riding his bike, leaving it in a quadriplegic state with his chest from the chest down. He can still move his arms and stuff. When I was reading, I was hoping that was just a brief thing, but no, it still continues a year. It still continues a year later. See, I like to go back and watch these movies and TV shows, iconic movies and TV shows from my childhood, and see where are these actors and actresses, the ones who are still alive, where are they at in the modern day? And we see him, and I heard about his and everything was good till I heard about his accident, man. So yeah, rest in paradise. Well, he's been out of NBA since 2005, but rest in paradise, his career and life, because he had a bunch of big things before that happened right there. And I really do hope he can get the rehabilitation he needs to get back on his feet and get back to walking one day again. But round of applause and salute to Sean Bradley for being one of the coolest, not the best, but one of the coolest NBA players of all time, and one of the greatest actors of all time. Just like with Michael Jordan, this right here, in my opinion, is the greatest thing he's ever been involved in, and happy he got to be a part of my childhood, man. And I hope he looks back on as fondly on this movie as I do. So yeah, man. Prayers for that. Prayers for him and prayers for that family. What else? So yeah, that was everything. And like I said, characters I loved loved everyone. As a kid, I wanted to be Michael Jordan. I wanted to be Michael Jordan and Michael Jordan, the Looney Tunes, and the other NBA players in the film. Wayne Knight's Stan Polak's character, who was this annoying but loyal friend and assistant to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is who I was in real life. So I loved this character. Throughout the film, he's seen as this embarrassing character, but I admire his tenaciousness and his loyalty and friendship with Michael Jordan. I was that at one point in my life, but I got sick of that role and struggled to be like Jordan, the Looney Tunes, and other players and actors in the film. So I was him, but wanted to be Michael Jordan, wanted to be Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, his character, Larry Bird, Bradley, Charles Barkley, Ewing, McGee, and Johnson. And later in my career, in my sport, wrestling, I sort of became the other ones. Never was able to become Jordan due to other problems that I've mentioned in my in high school and WWE wrestling rant. So this was my long off-camera Douglas Blair Roberts YouTube social media actor-based personality review. You don't want to hear the rest of the music? Turn the video off right now.
We